Hello. In this video we're going to look at prescription drugs and some things that you can do to save some money. First we'll talk about some strategies that are important to understand. Then we'll look at a couple of tools that are free for you to use to help you become better shoppers. Let's take a look. The first thing we need to understand when we're talking about drug strategies and tools is the tier structure. You'll typically see tier 1, 2, and 3 drugs when you're shopping for prescriptions. And so to make that clear to you how that works, almost every condition has several drugs that are designed to treat that condition. And so the carriers have taken those drugs and divided them into tiers, typically tier 1, 2, and 3. And the tiers are not a representation of the quality of the drugs, but instead they're a representation of the price of the drugs. And so tier 1 drugs are less expensive than tier 2 drugs, and then tier 3 drugs are the most expensive. Now, a lot of times those most expensive drugs are the newer drugs that have patents that haven't run out, or the more complex drugs. They're designed to treat, the more unique conditions, but it doesn't mean that they're better drugs. A lot of times, in fact, most times, there are fantastic tier 1 drugs that are very effective, but also very cost effective. And so the tier system then and the pricing that goes along with that is designed to help you tell the difference in the pricing of drugs and direct you, kind of guide you to buy less expensive drugs when they're a good fit for you. So typically on these ACA plans, marketplace plans, you'll see tier 1 drugs between $15 and $30 copay to buy them. And so you typically don't have to meet your deductible first. You just pay a flat copay, say a flat $15 to pick up a tier 1 drug. A tier 2 drug generally is about 25% after your deductible, and tier 3 drugs are 50% after your deductible. With deductibles like they are today, that can be pretty significant if you haven't made your deductible yet for the year. And so not only you have to pay the cost of the drug, but you have to pay it all until you've met the deductible first. So there's some real incentive to buy tier 1 drugs. The first step then in this strategy to help save money on prescriptions is to always see if there is a lower tier drug available that will treat the condition you're being treated for. And a lot of times in the doctor's office, you'll get a prescription. You won't have a way to look up the tier that it's in, and so you may not know until you see the pharmacy, but you can certainly ask your doctor if they know on your plan what tier that drug is in, or help them look it up to see if they can prescribe one that's a lower tier for you if they're prescribing a high tier drug for you. And if you can't find out at the doctor's office, then when you go to the pharmacy, they certainly can help you look at alternatives if you have a tier 2 or 3 drug and see if there's a better alternative. And so they can suggest one and then call back to the doctor and ask if there's another drug that's available that would work just as well at a lower cost for you. Now, depending on how the prescription is written, they'll be written as, dispense as prescribed, or they can substitute it without having to call back to the doctor. So work with a pharmacist to see the best value there for the drug that needs to treat your condition, but still give you the treatment that you need. So besides trying to always step down a tier or 2 with your drugs, also look for generic drugs. And there's some confusion because tier 1 and generic are often used interchangeably, but they're not exactly the same thing. Although tier 1 drugs are predominantly generic drugs, not all generic drugs are tier 1 drugs. And so be careful when you're talking about that to see if a tier 1 and a generic are the same thing in the drug that you're talking about. So once you've found that the lowest tier drug for you that will treat your condition well, the next step is to use some tools that are available to help you find a good price on that drug. 2 of them that we like are called GoodRx and RxSaver. Now there are other apps similar to this that also work very well, but these are just 2 that we're familiar with and that we use. These are apps that can run on a desktop computer, on a laptop, or on your phone if you have a smartphone. And so you can look them up anywhere you are and check prices of drugs around, at pharmacies that are close by to you. And also they have apps that you can download on your phone rather than going to the internet and look up drugs there. And these tools are great for 3 reasons. One, there's no cost to you to use them. And there's no back-end cost, no hidden cost. There's no registration required, and there's no personal information required to use them. So you can just go online or look at your app and search for a drug that's the best fit for you, the lowest cost at pharmacies that are close by you, and go there to pick up the drugs. And so they're great. Now, they do also have some options if you want to register. Then you can save prescriptions in there or save coupons in there, but it's not required. So they're very safe, and there's no back end on their end trying to sell you something or trying to get you to do something for them. They make their money by when the pharmacy fills a prescription that they've suggested, they make their money that way. So they have no incentive to sell you anything else or push something on you that isn't good for you. I'm going to show you now how the GoodRx app works. It's very similar to the RxSaver app or others that you might find that are similar to this. This is an actual app I've downloaded on my phone, but you could also access this app on the website, just by using your browser on your smartphone or through a desktop or laptop. So they all work in a very similar way. You can just click on the app, put in the name of a drug. Here's one I just did for someone, modafinil. And so you can look at it here. You can change the dosage, you can change the quantity, and then I have it set for current location. But in addition to that, you can set it by zip code or city if you want to find, if you're not currently in a location where you want to pick up your prescription. And so when you just click the Find Lowest Price button, it looks near you and it shows you the options. And in this case, it goes from $35 at Costco up to $270 at Walgreens. And so you go, whoa, I don't want that $270, so I'm going to Smith's here pretty soon, and that's usually where I pick things up, so I'm going to use that Smith's. But before I do, let me look and see what this drug is. So you can look on it, drug information here, learn about what that drug is, what it's used for. In this case, it's an narcolepsy drug or to help with sleep apnea. You can also find other information about the drug if you want, all these great different things about interactions and if you're pregnant and allergies and so forth. So really good information about any drug you want to look up there. If you decide that you want to then fill that prescription at Smith's, you'll click the coupon. It shows it has Smith's on there. It has all the IDs and things that you'll need to get the prescription. Now you can just take this just like this to the pharmacy and they can scan it and fill it that way. If you'd like, you could save it to your coupons. Now it's saved in your area. You can text it to yourself. You can email it to yourself or someone else. And so there's a lot of easy ways to then download or use that coupon. So it's pretty easy to do. In addition, this one shows you a map of where that pharmacy is, store details about their open hours and know how to call them if you'd like. And so it's a great app. And then at the bottom here, you can also call GoodRx if you have questions about how to use it or if you have any problems. So it's a great little way to get better deals on prescriptions and compare prices, and I think that you'll think it's a really a good tool to use to compare to your other options for drugs and see if you can save some money. So now that we understand the basic strategy about how the tiers work and how to shop for the best prices using one of these apps, let's go through some examples and see how you actually put this into use. I've created a chart with some samples to help illustrate some of the things that you might want to look at to help save some money. And it can get fairly complex, and so I've hopefully chosen some that help you see some of the different variations. And in this chart, we're going to first show drugs, and so we'll just do A, B, C, D here, but you could put in the name of the drug that you're getting. And then the tier that it's in, under the insurance column, there's two things that could go there. Either the copay that you pay based on your medical plan, or the negotiated price. And you won't always see that, but the pharmacy knows what it is. And so all the carriers have negotiated with the pharmacies a price that they will pay for different drugs. And so we'll talk about how you can use that then to get the best price for you. The second column then over there in the colored columns is the coupon, we'll call it. And that means using something like a coupon from GoodRx or RxSaver or another source to get a lower price on a prescription. Then the generic column is because almost every pharmacy, at least all the big ones, have a generic drug program where they have a lot of their most common generic drugs on there. And you'll see a lot of these, like Walmart's or Smith's or CVS or so forth, have a generic program that's $4 or $5 that you'll pay for any generic drug on their list, whether you have insurance or not. And so that we need to understand that and see if it's on the list and see if that's a better move. Then the last thing is under the program column is that the manufacturers often have programs where they'll discount the cost of expensive drugs, or there's also qualifying programs, qualifying meaning you have to qualify based on income or other criteria that the people will help pay for your cost of your drugs. And so that's the setup then and what we're going to talk about here as we go through some examples. The first one we're going to look at we'll call drug A. It's a tier 1 drug. Let's say that on the insurance plan that you have, that generic or tier 1 drugs are a $30 copay. And surprisingly, we're seeing that a lot now, and a lot of people are confused by that and even paying $30 when in almost any case that you can probably get a drug less than $30, even if that's the copay on your plan. In this case, we used GoodRx, let's say, and found that you can get a coupon there to get that same drug for $9. But we asked the pharmacy if it's in their generic program, and they say, yeah, we have a generic program. It costs $4. And so you look at your options, say, I could use my insurance copay and pay $30, or this coupon for $9, or the generic one for $4. And so in this case, the easy choice is, let's just use the insurance on the generic program at the pharmacy and pay $4 for that drug. And if you've been paying $30, on your copay, then tell the pharmacy you don't want to do that any longer, and you want to use their generic program and pay $4 instead of $30 for it. In this next example, then, drug B is also a tier 1 drug. Your copay is still $30, but you ask the insurance company, what's the negotiated price that I can pay based on what the insurance told you to charge me for this drug? And they'll look it up and say, oh, looks like we've negotiated an $18 price for that drug. And so you go, I like that better than a $30 copay. I want to just pay the negotiated price for that drug. Now, beforehand, you've looked also on GoodRx or RxSaver, and you found out that there's a coupon for it for $22. In this case, you'll go, I'm going to go with that $18 cost that's the negotiated price with the insurance company. So that's what you would do in that case. So drug C now will step up to a tier 2 drug. And on your plan, it may be a 25%, which is typical, 25% cost of the drug. Let's say this drug costs $100. Now, if you haven't met your deductible yet for the year, you would pay that full $100 before you would get the 25%. And so if you haven't met it, you'd pay $100 for that drug using your insurance to pay for it. If you have met your deductible through other drugs you purchased that year or other services that you've had, a surgery or something like that, then you would pay the 25%, which on a $100 drug would be $25. You had done some shopping before you went there, you knew you had a coupon, you get it for $30. And so in this case, if you met your deductible, you would choose to pay the 25%, which is $25 of the $100 one. If you haven't met your deductible, then you'd choose to pay the $30 cost and use that coupon. And now the last one we'll look at is drug D, and it's a tier 3 drug. So similar to the tier 2 drug, your deductible comes into play. If it's a $300 drug, say for this drug D, if you haven't met your deductible, you would pay all $300 for it. If you have met your deductible, the co-insurance is probably half of 50%. So half of $300 is $150. You also then have looked up on your coupons and found that you could get it for $180. So you go, okay, I met my deductible, $150, that's a better choice. I haven't met my deductible, $180, that's a better choice. But you also did some checking and found out, or asked the pharmacist, and found out that the manufacturer has a coupon for that keeps your cost at $50. And so in that case, you would say, even better than either the insurance or the coupon is that program. And so I like to use that program and get it for $50. Now, we can help you look for programs like that and search for them and know what's available. A lot of times you'll have to register online to get that, or download a coupon for it from the manufacturer, or another program that you may have to qualify for. So if you want to look around for that, be aware of it, talk to the pharmacist, or give us a call or a text, and we can help you see if there's a program available for the drugs that you're after to make the cost cheaper. Okay, there are a few things you might run into when you're trying to use these strategies or tools. You might run into some red lights or yellow lights when you're trying to do these. we're going to show you how you can turn them all into green light so you can move ahead with these strategies and save some money. The first thing is about copays. As we mentioned, a lot of the plans now have a $15 to even a $30 copay for generic drugs. And we know that in most cases, in almost every case, you can get generic drugs for less than that, either through the copay program with a pharmacy of $4 or $5, or through a coupon, or other things like that. And so if the pharmacy is trying to charge you the copay, the $15 or $30, ask them, can we do something besides that copay? Is there a cheaper way to buy that drug? If they insist on charging the copay or tell you that it has to be done that way, I would ask again or go to a different pharmacy, because they're not required to do that. And so depending on what their motivation is, they may want to charge you that copay, but it's certainly not necessary. So there's a way that you can make sure that you can go to a different pharmacy or ask about that, and so we can turn that one to a green just by asking or going somewhere else. The second thing is using those coupons, either RxSaver or GoodRx or something else that you might be using. Some of the pharmacists might kind of give you a hard time if you're going to use one of those, or tell you there's reasons you can't use it, or I even ran into one that said it was illegal to use it. And when I pushed them on that, they said, well, I was told that, but found out it wasn't actually true. So it's not illegal. It's okay to use those coupons from your side. Now, they may have a policy they don't want to take them, because in some cases those coupon prices are lower than their cost of the drugs. But the pharmacy will do it, or the main store will do it to get people into the pharmacy. And so the pharmacy manager doesn't like to lose money on those drugs, where the main store may want to get you into the store to buy other things, and that's why they might do it. So, but it's their right to refuse those coupons, and if they don't want to take them, then if it's enough savings for you, again, I would ask a different pharmacy and use that coupon somewhere else so you can save the money if it's significant to you. The third thing is deductibles. If you're not going to use your insurance, like for that copay, or if you're going to use a coupon, then it won't go through your insurance plan a lot of times, and won't then accumulate toward your deductible, because the insurance company won't know that you're filling that prescription. And so that is legitimately that it could cause some confusion with the insurance company, but it certainly shouldn't stop you from saving money on your prescriptions. And so you can just turn your receipt in for what you paid for your prescriptions, then have it accumulate toward your deductible. So that shouldn't be a problem. You may need to turn that receipt in, though, to get that credit. Then the last thing is about those receipts. A lot of times you'll need receipts either to prove that you've paid toward your deductible, or if you have an HSA plan, you'll need to verify that what your expense was. If you use your HSA plan or card, you'll need to prove that it was a legitimate expense. And so you can turn those in to your HSA vendor. For instance, if you're using Health Equity, which is a common one here that integrates with Select Health, when you use your Select Health card there, it automatically gets reported to Health Equity, so there's no need in most cases for you to turn a receipt in. But if you're not using your card and using the coupon or the generic drug program instead, you'll need to turn that receipt in since it doesn't go through the carrier. But so all those can be taken care of. And again, if you get a hard time about it, ask the pharmacist how you can fix it or what you can do, or give us a call. We pushed through all of these different problems and found ways to make them all work. So as always, if you have any problems, you can call us with these strategies or others you might come across, and we can help you get the prescriptions that you need, a lot of times at a significantly lower price. So give us a call if you have questions. Otherwise, good luck, and hope you enjoy saving some money on your prescriptions.